Yesterday, the FBI served a search warrant at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, apparently in relation to documents that the former president removed from the White House. Now, some Republican lawmakers say that the FBI acted out of bounds, while the Department of Justice is staying quiet about the reasons behind the search. So we wanted to hear from an expert about what happened and what this all really means. Joining us live now is Professor David Harris from the University of Pittsburgh Law School and an expert in search and seizure laws. Professor, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Of course. So look, let's just get right into it. We don't have access to the warrant, but we do know that this was in relation to documents from the White House. What do you think they were looking for?
Well, according to all that we know, and some of this information comes directly from President Trump's lawyer, they were looking for classified or other kinds of documents that do not go out of the White House. They belong to the United States and the American people and the National Archives. And there's good reason to think that 15 boxes of those documents went down to Mar-a-Lago with President Trump, and not all perhaps have been returned.
Yeah, and what does a typical search warrant usually have to include for a judge to sign off on it like this?
Well, this is bedrock constitutional law. It's in the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, and it says the warrant must show probable cause, that is, evidence and facts that a crime, either ongoing or past, has happened, and that evidence of that crime may be found at a particular place. The warrant has to describe exactly where the place is, which is no problem with Mar-a-Lago, and it has to describe with reasonable particularity what exactly the law enforcement people seek there, so the reasonable officer could find it. Most importantly, probable cause, real evidence, not enough to convict beyond a reasonable doubt, but some basic facts, and a judge looks it over and a judge decides whether there is probable cause or not. The judge is independent of law enforcement.
And then on the opposite end, the former president is saying that this search was illegal or crossed a line. Republicans are saying this too, who side with the former president. Do they have a point?
Well, you know, there's an easy way to know, because there's one person outside of the Justice Department who does have the warrant, and that is President Trump himself and his lawyers. Because when a warrant is served, the person who is in charge of the house or the business, whatever it is, gets a copy. And if he wants people to make a judgment on whether there was probable cause or reason to believe the evidence was in his home, all he has to do is release the text of the warrant and the application for the warrant that is usually fastened to it. That would tell everybody what kind of information they have. I can tell you this, that warrant, every T was crossed, every I was dotted. It went in front of the Attorney General of the United States, the FBI Director, and a federal judge. Nobody would serve a warrant on a former president's home unless there was probable cause. Wouldn't happen.
And just out of curiosity, from your perspective, how long of a process do you think this was? How long perhaps were they collecting this evidence?
It's been going on for some time. We've heard first about this investigation back, I think, in the early part of the winter, maybe February. And from that time and before that, the investigation has been continuing. They develop the evidence, they have their facts, they line them up, they don't dare go in front of a federal judge without having everything in order and being able to answer every possible question the judge might have, so a judge will sign the warrant.
Yeah, and lastly, I mean, what as a search and seizure expert is something that you want the everyday person to know about their Fourth Amendment rights, or something that most people just might not know?
Well, the Fourth Amendment is there to protect all of us. It's there to protect our homes particularly. And nobody gets to go into your home. No police officer, no law enforcement person gets to go into your home without a warrant. These law enforcement officers, the FBI agents who did this search, would only do that if they had real evidence. You know, it's one thing to yell on talk radio and on podcasts and things like that. You don't have to have any facts to do that kind of thing. But this isn't about beliefs. This is about evidence and facts. That's what counts.
Well, we'll see how it all plays out in the long run. Professor Harris, thank you for joining us. We are out of time, but we do appreciate you joining us to just walk through all of this.